Hey, if you're like a regular vlog viewer, this is not that type of a video. This is more about how you can connect with anyone. I'm going to be sharing like a few tips. So if you're expecting a normal vlog, come back tomorrow and we'll be back in that. All right. Okay, so if I'm very honest, I don't know why I'm making this video, but people seem to think that I'm good at this specific thing.
That I got this pharmacy, and she's a writer too. Yeah, she's a published poet. Yes, I should have actually bought her book and I forgot. But
So I just jotted down a few points that I keep in mind always, and I kind of structured it a bit for me to share them with you. Okay, so here's my quick guide to easily conversing with people and finding like a connection with them. This in no way is a hack. If you do not have the right intentions or you're being inauthentic, this will not work. And if you're trying to use these practices in wrong ways just for selfish means, people will see through them. So just be careful about these points. No tactic or technique can actually help you with this if you're not principally sound. That's just my disclaimer to you before I start this video. Now, the title of this video is pretty vague, I would say, because there are many ways in which you can talk to people and there are many types of people you might want to talk to. So I've kind of broken them down into three different situations. The first is pretty general. You just want to go and have the ability to say hi to someone who might be a stranger, or have the ability to just start a conversation just like that. Okay? This video is not so much about that, maybe a little bit. You can watch the whole video and I'm sure you'll get some insights. Second one, this is like a potential connect, possibly for business or some kind of work or some kind of collaboration. Well, this is the type of connection I'm going to be speaking about in this video. The third, the one that all guys want to know, is about the relationship type. How do you get to know a girl? How do you talk to her? How do you flirt with her? Well, this is not that video either, my friend. Okay, so first things first, begin with the end in mind. Why do you want to go and meet them? What's the intent of it? Do you just want to go say hi, or do you have something to propose to them? And ask yourself, what is the end result that I hope to have out of this conversation? And just have that clear in your head. Once you do that, you have like a baseline for what you're hoping for, and figure a way out to actually move towards that. Step number 2 is more about approachability. So that comes from understanding a little bit about body language. When you can see if a person is approachable, you will know when it's the right time to actually reach out to them. So here are like 3 tips that kind of give you an idea of a person's openness and approachability. First is palms. If their palms are open and are showing to you, that means they're approachable. If they're closed in a fist or just blocked like that, that means they're not very interested in having conversation with people at that time. There are some cases in which it doesn't specifically mean that, but generally that's the idea. When they're like this, it's like they're trying to hug themselves, so they're not comfortable. So maybe you can like figure a way out to make them comfortable. And there are ways in which you can figure out how you can get them from this to this. I'll discuss that later in the video. And the third thing is their feet. If they're having a conversation with someone and if they're interested in them, their feet will face towards them. And with ladies, if their legs are like bent like that, their knees would be facing the person or their shoulders. These 3 things tell you how interested a person is into a conversation or not. Here is a book that taught me all my body language stuff. It's by Alan and Barbara Peace. It's called The Definitive Book of Body Language, though there are a lot of videos on YouTube as well. Tip number 3. Before you approach someone, figure out what their interests are and what common interests you actually have, because that is just an easy way out to getting a huge conversation started. So whenever I've connected with people, I've made sure that I've figured that one bit out and it helps. So for example, if I know they like music, or if they're interested in the guitar, or if I know they're into bodybuilding, or if I know they're into personal development, just anything that you can find on the internet or that they've written about that shows you that their specific interest is in this piece of information, try and see what's common between you and them, and that can be like your conversation starter. There's nothing like getting a person to talk about the things that they're interested in. It's gold and one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you. If someone comes to me and starts talking about personal development or like cinematography or YouTube or playing the guitar or maybe golf or something like that, they would already have gotten my interest more than anyone else over there, because these are the things that I'm already invested in. So they kind of pick my interest up from there. Awesome. Business to some extent, actually to a large extent, is about give and take. So for you to be able to understand what you have to give to a person is super important before you approach them. It's important to know how you're providing value to their lives with whatever proposition you might be having. Now, if you just want to go say hi to someone or, just want to have a conversation, value comes in many different ways. If you're just curious about them, if you ask them questions about their life, people love talking about themselves. It's ridiculous. Like, look at me with this YouTube channel. I'm just talking about myself this whole time, right? So if you get people's curiosity, if you ask them questions about themselves, Dale Carnegie actually has this beautiful quote that says, to be interesting, be interested. So that is the key point from this one. Yeah, get it? Imagine when you're having a great conversation with someone, a lot of the times you're the one that's talking and they're the ones that are listening. So just being a great listener and being curious can make you 10 times more interesting. It's because the person having a good time talking about themselves to you. So that is also a form of value that you can provide to someone. Be a good listener, be curious. The main part, which is probably one of the most difficult parts as well, is the approach. Now this is where you get the butterflies in the stomach kind of feeling. And you're like, no, I would not do it. And you start imagining things that, oh, what would happen if I dash, 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 dash. It does not matter. Take my word for it, it does not matter. One of the best pieces of advice that I've got in my life for public speaking was that the people that are in front of you want you to give their best, because they're hoping to have a good conversation, they're hoping to learn something, and they don't want to waste their time. So realize that when you're approaching someone, that person does not want you to fuck up, because they would like to have a good conversation as well, wouldn't they? Wouldn't you? So the idea over here is, whatever the butterflies in the stomach are, just forget about them and take the leap of faith. And my bonus tip over here is just be authentic, go over there, say hi, and tell them your true why. Why did you come and want to say hi to them? And if you get their interest from the start, then it's like you're off to a good start. So if you start with something like, hey man, I just wanted to come say hi, I'm a big fan, what happens is they'll be like, hi, okay, nice to meet you, here's a photo, la 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 la, bye bye. Versus if you're like, hey, I just wanted to come say hi man, I really appreciate your work and the kind of stuff you're doing. I recently saw that you had spoken about la la la, and I actually wanted to get your opinion about this thing. You have made the conversation start over there. Not only have you shown him that you appreciate his work and admire it, but you've also asked him a question to kind of take the conversation further and piqued his interest by being curious. Now, one of my favorite things is to build rapport. This is something I learned as an NLP practitioner. Now, the key thing about rapport is that it makes the person think that you're like them. And who doesn't like someone who is like them or gets it, right? It is done through many ways. It can be done through body language mirroring. It can be done through mirroring through words, through breathing, through a lot of different complicated things which I'm not going to get into. But if you can, let's say, just mirror the person or talk in their tonality or use the kind of words they do, may they be kinesthetic words, may they be auditory words, may they be visual words, like whatever their way of communicating is, if you can match that, if you can do things the way that they do, they will automatically grow a liking towards you and will start building rapport back with you. This is key. I'm not going to get into depth with this. If you guys are interested, I can make a video about rapport later. But what I would recommend is go and watch a couple of videos on how you can build rapport with someone unconsciously. And this is like the nicest thing that I've ever learned, because it has got me so far ahead than most other people, because the person is automatically interested in me because they just think that I'm like them. So now this, what we spoke about was mostly in regards to actually having a physical conversation with someone. The second key thing you might want to know is how do you kind of introduce yourself to someone via email. And for that, I could make another video which is more detailed, but a couple pointers would be that make sure you start with appreciating their work and what they do and showing interest in them. Don't make it generic, be as specific as you can. Second thing is introduce yourself briefly in a way that would pique their interest. Third would be do your ask and tell them why it's so important that you ask them. Ask something that would actually be interesting for them, right? And four, just like keep it crisp and ask for a response. My second last tip would be to make sure that you follow up with people in the correct way. Talk about things that they're interested in. Have the regular call, once a month where you read an article, think of someone, or find something that they might find interesting. Keep sharing stuff with them and adding value to people's life. That's the biggest thing. And the last thing I'd like to say is when someone does not reply or respond to you or reciprocate to you in the way that you were expecting or hoping for, don't be discouraged. There's so many people out there, and you just got to keep doing this again and 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 again. As long as you're authentic, as long as you have good intentions and good principles behind it, you will find the right people. By the way, if you have any more specific questions, because I only addressed a certain type of conversation, if you have any questions about different types of conversations or any specific questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. I would love to answer them. Share this video with someone you think might actually find it useful or interesting. And like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to stay tuned to more. I'm usually making regular vlogs, and I post one every single day. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.